Yeah, welcome into the Tuesday edition. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game, broadcasting live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Tuesday morning. Joe, good morning. How are you? What's going on?
Doing all right. Feeling that fall chill in
cool.
August.
I had to turn my heated seats on this morning.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't mind it. Like I love, I love 70s, 50s, like I can go with that for a long time. But we're not there permanently, right?
People fall for this every year.
Yeah, we'll wind back up.
And here in about 2 weeks, it's going to be 97 degrees again. So I need everybody to, as long as you know it and you don't fall for that again, just be prepared. We're not done.
Yes. But in the meantime, it does feel like football season.
It does. Feel great.
Which is pretty sweet.
No doubt. Ian, how we doing? What's going on?
Yeah, it was nice out there. Doing good, thanks. A little chill this morning. You could feel it. But yeah, I enjoyed the warm weather. So, I'll take summer as long as you'll give it to me, to be honest with you.
I think we're three people that feel basically the same way about that.
Yeah.
I will say, it's about 105 a couple weeks ago with the heat index, whatever it was. It's like, it's a little warm.
Yeah.
It's a little warm.
It's hard to do stuff outside, but you don't want to do stuff outside in January
either.
Do not. So
no, you don't.
Pick your poison there.
That's true.
No, I mean, it's, got 2 kids now who have gone back to the hinterlands.
Yes.
It's like, all right, well, it's nice now. I'll we'll talk to you guys in November and December.
You think they realize what they're in for yet?
Well, one of them
does. That's true. He's been there.
This is 4th straight year there, and he's all in. But yeah, we'll see if this younger one, he still doesn't have a winter jacket. Doesn't seem to think he needs one. It's like, hey, buddy. Or needs to wear pants. It's like, no, man. Like you're not doing like shorts and a sweatshirt up there, bro.
No, if you're from Michigan, you just wear shorts all the time. I think, right?
I mean,
most people do. I think if you're from Michigan,
I tell you what, you try to sit in your car in like January and you get frostbite on your butt immediately if you don't have like long johns on.
Sounds great. Yeah. Sounds like somewhere I would really enjoy.
Yeah, I know. And why do I always wind it back to a butt? I don't know.
That's a good question. I don't know. It does happen a lot. Yeah. I appreciate the fine folks at 12 Stones Crossing Golf Club for having me out there yesterday. It was a great time out there in Gilletsville.
Talk about good golf weather.
Yeah, it was great golf weather yesterday. Hard to beat. Got out there, 18 holes, didn't sweat. Didn't even sweat.
Wow.
That's how good it was out there. Had a nice breeze. It was good stuff. Appreciate the people at the 12 Stones Crossing Golf Club out there. Got the new driving range open out there. The course is in great shape. Me and my guy Les went out there and played some golf, so really appreciate them having us out there.
Nice. How'd you shoot?
Not great. It was I hit a couple of drives that were just absolute bombs out there. Absolute bombs, which is really all it takes to get me to come back and play again. I hadn't played in a while. Short game a little rough yesterday. Game was a little rough.
Understandable.
Yeah. So about to get Rexrode out there.
Yeah, I mean, I'll drive the cart.
There we go. It is roster cut down day in the National Football League. The cuts have already started to roll in on the Tennessee Titans front, and a lot more will be coming today. I'll quickly go through who has been cut so far for the Tennessee Titans. Joshua Bledsoe, Davion Ross, Jalen Kimber, Jaquan Jackson, Joe Gaziano, Julius Wood, Desmond Evans, Clarence Lewis, Josiah Bronson, Amari Burney, Jamari Harris, TJ Sheffield, TJ Smith, Arlington Hambright, Sam Mustipher, and Matt Landers have all been waived at this point. Really, I guess the big name, quote unquote, from that list would be Jaquan Jackson, and it is about a 0% surprise that he is cut. So nothing overly surprising there from the Titans front.
Yeah, nothing overly surprising. I did see like Corey Curtis posted something like whatever, like no surprises, and Stilly was like, well, what about? And I forgot the name of what he said, but he thought one of the DBs had a good camp. I'm like, oh, I didn't know that he did. But so he's surprised about that, but I don't think there's too much surprise there. I haven't heard much about the guy, so much so that I don't even remember his name. I'll find it though.
That's good.
In case anybody else cares.
Well, it does make me I remember, I think it was the Atlanta preseason game, and Jaquan Jackson was back there. He was like the second punt returner in the rotation, and he was back there and he like slipped
Kuharski
and
got all
fell
mad.
down. Yeah, Kuharski was very upset about it. He slipped and fell down and caught the ball, and it was like, I mean, I will say it's like, all right, we're pretty confident this dude's not making the team, and you got to figure out who your punt returner is. So like whether it's James Prochet or DK, why don't we just get them as many reps back there in the game in an actual punt return setting as we possibly can? That'd be nice.
Yeah, that was kind of curious. Yeah, it was Clarence Lewis is who still he said thought he had a strong preseason, and Corey Curtis said I must have missed that. I don't
Way to go, Clarence.
Yeah, so obviously we'll have more that'll it's like the Monday now. It's kind of like the obvious ones. It's like the probably the easier choices.
Yeah.
And then today you'll have some that will actually be like, okay, interesting. That's a bit of a surprise till we get to the actual deadline.
Yeah, like I'm wondering today, do we get to the end of it for the Titans and there's somebody cut that we're not expecting, right? Like, I'm not going to throw Xavier Restrepo into that category, right? Like I think most people are expecting him to be cut today and then probably to be re-signed to the practice squad. We'll see what happens on that front. But like we were talking about receiver yesterday, and TD and PK both had him keeping 7. So do they keep 7? And if so, what does that mean? Or like, are they so confident that James Prochet needs to be the punt returner? Do they cut somebody at receiver that we're not expecting? Like, does Van Jefferson get sent packing?
I think that'd be he'd be the one if they did it that way.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, I don't think there's a lot of candidates for that. Like I think they're more in a situation where it's like, all right, could you find some more guys to get in competition here to really challenge for spots on the back end of the roster? It's probably where they're at with their overall roster right now. So, like, I expect Van Jefferson to be on the team. I just wonder if there's anything that happens today with the Titans from people who are currently on the roster, much less the waiver claim stuff. But people who are currently on the roster, does anything happen today where we're like, whoo, I didn't see that coming?
Yeah, and then you do get to. I mean, I don't think there's going to be anything shocking. I mean, it could be, but then you get to the waiver. I thought TD made a good point on DVD yesterday, which was these guys at like 50. I mean, it's not like the Titans saying you were so close to the cut line. You're number 52 on the roster, but the people at the back end who were kind of iffy, you don't get too comfortable.
It's going to get churned.
Once everybody, because I just when you have the top waiver claim, it's hard for me to believe that they wouldn't find some players out there who are like, oh, that's a clear upgrade here or there. Like you said yesterday, I mean, running back is something to look at. Spears, I think he's probably going to be on IR to start. Not sure, but I think there's a decent chance of that. And then is it how much do they feel it necessary to try to more replicate his skill set because the other two guys, well, all the other guys don't do what he does really.
Yeah,
I mean Chestnut can do all that stuff, but so I mean I think that's a real, and of course I mean I think in the trenches for sure, maybe even at corner, they can find someone who like snap that guy up. That's an easy ad, and then you got somebody who made it who immediately didn't make it.
Well, and John McClain was on with Chase and Big Joe yesterday, and he was talking about how, the waiver claim is one thing, but then you get into the season, it's still going to be a thing. Like if you're the Titans, the back part of your roster could churn for a while here, I guess is what the point is.
Yeah.
So if you're a guy that's, that you're making the team by like the very razor's edge, comfortability is not a thing here with this Titans roster on the back part of it moving forward into the season, even beyond the next couple of weeks here.
Right. Exactly. And so, I mean, look, what you hope as a Titans fan is that being where you are, I mean, obviously, you hit the first pick in the draft and then you get the first waiver claim that, that expedites some just overall improvement in this roster and adding some depth, I feel like they've got depth at inside linebacker that I didn't anticipate going into the preseason. A lot of questions there, really. Some answers now. Safety, pretty good, but there's a lot of other spots where they could absolutely use some upgrades.
Let's head to our 1025 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in Jared in Spring Hill to the program. Jared, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Hey, good morning. I got a couple things here. Man, I just hate that we have to rely on Tyjae Spears. This guy's hurt all the time. And if I could cut him, I would. I don't think they will. But I mean, I just feel like that we're put in a spot where we have to rely on this guy constantly, and it's just not fair. And I got another point. I was getting out of the truck yesterday morning, and I heard the clip y'all played regarding Callahan and how he's treating this week as another week of training camp, focusing on the fundamentals. I'm sorry. That is unacceptable. And he kept going on about, you can be overly analytical about, preparing for a team and, you can run yourself mad, it seemed like, is kind of what he was saying. Brother, you need that practice, and our team isn't good enough to where you can just be able to show up next Sunday and start putting a game plan for Denver. That is completely unacceptable, and I feel like as a Titans fan base, we deserve much more than that because we ain't that good. Anyways, tighten up.
Thank you, Jared. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I very much disagree with Jared.
Well, I think it's not like the Titans have like their coaching staff hasn't looked at Denver yet, right?
Yeah, he has also said that, like they're way ahead. They've got all this stuff.
Yeah.
The point that Callahan, a couple points on that. One is like you get into the season. That's what you have a routine, and it is very much you play on Sunday, and then you turn the page quickly, and basically Tuesday's a big practice to try to, you're practicing for your opponent, put in your game plan, all that stuff. There's no reason to overdo that, especially think about the first game. There's so much stuff you don't know about that team.
That's the thing. Yeah.
I mean, this is just like you are going to do some stuff that they're not anticipating. They're going to do stuff. So, yeah, you need to know the personnel, of course, like the players. And I promise you, a lot of these guys have looked at their matchups already. So, like, there's some preparation that's been done. But as far as, like, overdoing the practicing specifically for them, I think that's a ton of wasted energy. I think general sharpening and improvement on things that you do is absolutely what you should be doing right now.
615-737-1025, our phone number, 615-737-1025. Coming up next, a move made in the NFL yesterday that hurts the heart of Joe Rexrode and myself. We'll get in that coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game, taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. We'll have Dan Wolkin coming up at 7 o'clock from Yahoo Sports, which is kind of weird to say.
It is,
Yeah.
right?
Long time at USA Today, now
Long
at Yahoo
time.
Sports. Big friend of Vols fans, so looking forward to that. coming at
Yes,
7
get
o'clock.
ready, Vol Nation. If you've blocked him on Twitter or he's been blocked by him, you can hear him here.
You can. Looking forward to that coming up at 7 o'clock. Speaking of the Vols, their former quarterback, now looking for a new home, Hendon Hooker, released by the Detroit Lions yesterday, Joe. So I think we knew that this was coming based on some things that Dan Campbell has said over the last few days, where he's basically like, yeah, they could probably use a change of scenery out there. Kyle Allen, it appears, has won the backup job for the Lions, which I don't know how the Lions feel about that, but Kyle Allen looks like he's backup quarterback, and Hendon Hooker has been waived. So it is not going to work out for Hendon Hooker in Detroit. We'll see when and if he gets picked up somewhere else in the NFL. But what do you make of the Lions moving on from Hendon Hooker and now where Hendon Hooker goes from here in his career?
Well, this is a huge disappointment, and I'm surprised. I really thought the timing was right because remember, 23 was a lost year. It was just a year of rehab in the knee, and then last year, I thought you saw some good stuff in the preseason. I was like, okay, that seems about right. Then you get to the playoffs, they go pick up Teddy Bridgewater, and it's like, well, is that a huge commentary on Hendon Hooker, or is it just as simple as, look, this guy is just way more experienced, and you just need a little more insurance? I don't know. But this preseason was not good. He didn't look good. He, again, just the one read, pull, tuck it, and go, and he just didn't look comfortable. So it doesn't look good right now. I will say, now there's first of all, there's a lot of great jokes out there about this is the chance, Titans, to make it right with Vol Twitter.
It's your opportunity.
This is your chance to formally apologize by adding Hendon Hooker. I got some people who tagged me yesterday.
I saw that.
Including young Andrew, who tweets, he's not better than what you already have. If you think otherwise, you're beyond help. And I will say this. Would I, if I were the Titans, hand over QB2 to Hendon Hooker? I would not. Are you sure that these guys right here, Brandon Allen and Trevor Siemian, are just beyond reproach? You can't be better than that. I'm just saying, I would in general consider as a GM in this league taking a flyer on him, and I say that because I still absolutely believe in his ability. I don't think what he did in college was a mirage. Absolutely believe in his personality. It doesn't look good right now. But again, there are also examples of quarterbacks in this league who have had a lot more time on the field, who didn't look good at all at this point, who did end up figuring it out, right? So
Yes.
I'm just saying, should the Titans at this point? I don't know what it's gonna do for you. But let's not pretend QB2 and QB3 are strong for the Titans.
Yeah,
either.
I'm not going to pretend that. The Titans should not go get him. Let me be clear. They should not go get Hendon Hooker, based on where they're at with their own starting quarterback right now. That I'm fine with the veterans they've got behind him. The thing that Hooker has, there's a couple things that he's got working against him. He looked pretty bad in the preseason. The tape was not good. It was not good stuff from him in the preseason.
Yep.
And the other thing is, he's 27, right? It's different being the third-year quarterback when you're 23. He's 27. So I think some of the questions, and we've already heard this, but some of the questions that scouting departments and NFL general managers are going to ask is this just what he is? At 27 years old, is this just what he is? How much of a chance is there for realistic, based on the preseason tape, dramatic improvement that needs to take place with him? So that is what's curious here, because again, if you're going to claim him right now, it's probably to be your number 2. So I don't think he's gonna be a number 2 anywhere based on the preseason. Now you get a few days down the road and practice squads and all that stuff, we'll see. But I'm really interested to see where he ends up, how he's viewed, and how the age factors in, which we've heard about from the moment he was drafted. in
Yeah.
the NFL.
Yeah, and the age is fair. I mean, now, granted, that's the same age like Chris Winkie was when he came into the league. I mean,
Who's that dude from Oklahoma State? Is it Brandon Whedon?
Oh yeah, he was on Social Security when he came in the league. By the way, someone just sent us on the text line the FanDuel ranking every team's QB2, going from number 1 Kirk Cousins all the way down to number 32 Brandon Allen.
Oh, good.
No, God, is that? I mean,
look, I will say the FanDuel account and what the list they come out with sometimes are a little bit absurd.
Sometimes they're very bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well, shoot, like FanDuel has Hendon Hooker ranked 19th. He's not a QB2. So, yeah, look, to me, Hendon Hooker would be an ad if I was looking for a QB3 who could be a developmental prospect.
Yes.
I'm not giving up on him, but obviously it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. I mean, there's not much positive that's happened for him in the NFL. Then this gets into, and we're going to get into this later, the heated debate that got Vol Twitter just all going yesterday with friend of the show, Ted Gwynn, who tweeted about the offense. I think that's I'll go back. I'll find like column I wrote at The Athletic a couple years ago, which is like this offense needs Hendon Hooker to work out in the NFL. This offense, and again, it's not just Tennessee. This is Baylor's offense going way back, and they have this issue and this narrative. And there's plenty of other teams that have it too. This offense, people who use this offense, who recruit to this offense, they need someone at some point to work out in the NFL. Now, we'll get into that more later, but it's just too bad with Hendon Hooker. Now, if we want to talk about the whole debate and the Vol slap in the face that the Titans delivered, I mean, I'd still probably right now at this moment, like if you're pick one of these guys and to develop for the next 3 years to see if you can turn him into a starter. I mean, at this point, I'd probably take Levis over Hooker.
Yeah, look, I don't have a whole lot of confidence in either one of them, just to be honest.
But if you have to make a choice,
I'd probably take Levis, but look, I think both of them are going to end up being backup quarterbacks. Like Hendon Hooker, it looks like if he's a backup, that may be best case right now, right? Like, so it's not looking good. I mean, look at that class in general. Stroud looks good. Bryce Young, we'll see.
He's
this
coming.
year. It's a big
He's
year
coming.
for him. Richardson looks like it's going to be a disaster. Will Levis not working out here. Hendon Hooker not working out here. Like, it's got a little rough after those first two, and Young and Stroud. And look, Young's been benched at this point, and he came back and looked good. And we'll see. It's a massive year for him.
I'm excited about him.
So we'll see what he looks like this year. But like Stroud is the one guy right now where you're like, yeah, I feel pretty good about him moving forward, and we'll see on Young.
Stroud trending down a little bit. Young's trending up a little bit. By the way, they played one time. Young outplayed Stroud, and they won. So I'm just saying, let's keep an open mind. But yeah, it's rough. Chip from Mount Juliet says, Joe's dream QB duo, Anthony Richardson and Hendon Hooker, LOL. Someone says, I think Malik Willis would have still been good here. Wish we would have kept him. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Malik Willis is a great example of, if you want to talk about like Hendon Hooker, I saw very little here when Malik Willis was here to tell me. I mean, to me, it was always like, no, good luck being a QB2 in this league. And now people are saying, oh, he's one of the best QB2s. I don't know if I buy that. I do buy that. He went somewhere else, and it was a completely different deal. Coaching, system, all that stuff, it worked out for him. They'd gotten the best out of him.
Yeah.
I wouldn't totally give up on Hendon Hooker, finding a place to develop and eventually get in there. But you're right. I mean, you're going to wait till he's 30?
I don't know. I'm really interested to see how teams view that. K-Dodd on the YouTube chat says, Joe cannot scout NFL QBs. I'm low-key glad Cam wasn't Joe's number one this year. Joe taking some strays on the text line here.
Hey,
excuse me, YouTube chat.
I will gladly admit I'm wrong all the time. I'm right sometimes too. Of course, NFL teams are wrong all the time. I mean, it's just, it's like we all try to do it. They all try to do it. And it's amazing how wrong we all are if we admit it, K-Dot.
That is true.
Tell us some of your QB takes, K-Dot.
That is true. There was a ton of things that went on in the NFL yesterday, including a few things pretty high profile. We will get into that coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game.
Trey Hendrickson and the Cincinnati Bengals have reached agreement on a restructured deal that will give Trey Hendrickson a $14 million raise this season. It'll allow him to make $30 million this season, and he also is set to become a free agent now after this season. So he gets added money for now, and he gets the ability to cash in. Last year, he led the NFL in sacks. If he leads the NFL in sacks again or comes close to that type of production, he should have a monster deal waiting for him.
That was Adam Schefter discussing the Trey Hendrickson situation, who got paid an additional $14 million yesterday on a raise on his contract, bumping him up to over $30 million for this year. And as Schefter points out, will become a free agent after that. Now, Schefter, as normal, I think took things a little bit too far after that about how the monster deal he was going to get. It's like, well, he didn't just get a monster deal, and then next year he will be 31 going into being 32. So I have my doubts as to the monster deal that Trey Hendrickson is going to get next offseason. But for the immediate and the now, good news for Cincinnati Bengals fans that Hendrickson will be back out there and will be leading what on paper could be still a pretty bad defense. And you've made your quarterback happy in the meantime as well, that Hendrickson will be out there this year. So we'll see how that all shakes out.
Yeah, I mean, there are high expectations for this team. They've tried to improve the defense in other ways. I don't see how there's any chance without him. So now you have a chance. You've got one of the best pass rushers in the NFL. I think you're right. If he has a ridiculous season, I mean, he'll get a deal next year, of course. But yeah, that age is still going to be something that I think that might limit the market a little bit. But regardless, now they got all the guys that Joe Burrow wanted, that they needed to make a run. And it's going to be really interesting. I mean, they're talking about a team that's missed the playoff the last 2 years, despite all this talent.
Another hold-in that came to a close yesterday, Terry McLaurin reaching a 3-year deal that is worth up to $96 million with the Washington Commanders, a $30 million signing bonus for Terry McLaurin, and he is back in the fold. So training camp has come and gone, and Joe, it's amazing when training camp comes to an end and you're trying to get ready for the season, how all of a sudden all these deals get done. Hendrickson's done, Terry McLaurin's done, and he's back out there, and we'll see Scary Terry catching passes from Jaden Daniels again this year.
Yeah, and I mean, look, Parsons, like it'll all get done. Like these teams, one way or the other, and some very different situations and circumstances around these situations. But typically they're going to get done, and yeah, it's like, okay, I'm ready to jump in there, do a little game week practice, get that conditioning up a little bit, and let's go. And it was nice to miss camp.
Parsons has not been done yet. He is still waiting in the wings for his new deal to be done by the Dallas Cowboys. He was, I guess, almost asleep on the trainer table the other day on the sideline, which has not gone over well down there in Dallas. And apparently before the preseason game, Jerry Jones is like hanging out with Micah Parsons' mom. So a lot of weird stuff going on down there in Dallas, as per usual. Your thoughts on Micah Parsons sleeping on the training table and the deal that still has yet to be completed by the Dallas Cowboys and their star 26-year-old pass rusher?
Yeah, I had a flashback to the first day of kindergarten. I don't know why, but I decided to try to make the other kids laugh as the teacher was introducing herself and talking. I just put my head on my desk and started loudly snoring, fake snoring. And then kids were pointing at me, laughing like the kid with the white hair. And I just thought that was amazing. That for some reason, I made me think of that when I thought about Micah Parsons, just like, yeah, I'm gonna lay out here and just like pretend to be asleep. I mean, I don't know.
What's Micah doing over there? You taking a nap?
I got to give him I got to give him credit. I have to. That's pretty good stuff, man. That whole situation.
He's actually really asleep.
Really amazing.
There's a stadium full of people around him.
Just take a little nap.
I mean, this is pretty well done by ESPN. I mean, there's a headline that says, let me find it. Dak not losing sleep over Parsons Cowboys saga.
Well done.
Way to go. That's good
well
stuff there.
done.
Yeah, well, there's still a couple weeks here before the season starts. I think that one will get done too at some point. I still from our conversation with Charles a couple weeks ago, I'm still holding out hope that this is all just a big Jerry Jones smokescreen. He's trying to stir up a little bit of drama, and then the deal's going to get done here in like 3 days. That's still my belief here.
Yeah, I mean, look, some of the stuff that has happened since we talked to Charles, it does, like the whole thing with what he. I guess I'm a little less on the train of like this was actually all just a ruse to help content. It does seem like,
Oh, he's definitely made Parsons mad.
Yeah,
there's no doubt.
And I feel like, I also it does seem like maybe Parsons' agent has made them mad too, like genuinely, legitimately. So, but
Jerry said some mean things about that agent.
He did. Yeah, he did.
Called. I think he used a curse word at some point. So
it got nasty.
Yeah,
it got real nasty. I think that's real. But yeah, they're still going to figure it out. People are really obsessed with me admitting I was wrong about Hendon Hooker. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It looks like I was wrong. The quarterback I was bullish on from that draft, though, I just want to point out, by far, the one guy I thought was going to make it was who?
Bryce Young.
Thank you. So we'll see. But yeah, I was absolutely wrong. I'm wrong all the time. You people, are you people right all the time? If you want to throw stones in glass houses or whatever, just be ready.
Well, Bama Brad would really like you to admit you were wrong about Tennessee.
Bama Brad and Robert, who says I'm wrong 99.9999% of the time.
It's a high percentage.
That seems high.
It's a high percentage. Kenny Pickett traded yesterday to the Raiders. So that 4 quarterback room for the Browns has now been dwindled down to 3. So Pickett traded from the Browns, I believe a 5th-round pick in return from the Raiders that they get. So they traded from Kenny Pickett in the offseason and then traded him before they ever played a game. Flacco's the starter. Some combination of Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders behind him. I think it'll probably be Gabriel as the 2 and Shedeur as the 3. And we'll see how long Joe Flacco can play as starting quarterback before either his body breaks down on him, the Browns get him killed, or people are screaming about Shedeur Sanders long enough where it just becomes a huge distraction. Looking forward to it in Cleveland.
Yeah, no, we'll all be talking about it. They'll be talking about it more than you want to hear it, unless you're a Browns fan, and actually even if you are a Browns fan, possibly. But Aiden O'Connell's injury opens the door for the trade. Get Pickett out of there. So yeah, now I think Shedeur is right. He got asked. He got actually asked if he believes he should be on the 53, I think is what the question was. And he said, what, like no doubt about it or something like that. So
I think he said obviously.
Or obviously. Yeah. So, and then I saw some people say if he would be. That's not the question. Wasn't will you be? It was like should you be? But regardless, he said obviously. Now I think he'll be right. I mean, he probably would have been. I mean, did Pickett do anything this whole preseason?
I don't think so. I mean, he had the hamstring injury.
I would prefer, just based on what we know, but certainly Sanders, but also Dylan Gabriel over Pickett. So now, they have that. I think you're right. I think Gabriel starts out as QB2. He certainly looked better than Shedeur in the last game. Although, maybe Shedeur is being sabotaged.
I mean,
don't block for Shedeur.
The head coach instructed the whole team to just basically get out of the way while Shedeur was out there.
Yeah, exactly. Let them sack him and don't catch any passes. Yeah. Look, I do think that, like, he didn't get maybe some of the opportunity that I thought he earned with how he played in the first preseason game. But I'm not there every day to see like Gabriel and Shedeur and what they're doing. I mean, it looks like Gabriel right now has just outplayed him, which is disappointing. But I bet you before this year's out, both of those guys probably see some action on the field for the Browns. They're going to be bad.
Yeah.
At some point, Flacco is either injury or performance or just losing. It's like, let's take a look at a young guy. That's going to happen.
How about this from Pro Football Talk? It says Kenny Pickett and Sam Howell were both selected in the 2022 NFL draft. So not that long ago. 3.5 years later, they've both already been traded 3 times, which makes NFL history. According to NFL Plus, Pickett and Howell are the only players in at least the last 30 years to get traded 3 times within their first 4 NFL seasons. There you go.
Man.
3 trades already for Pickett and for Sam Howell.
Yeah.
They were drafted in 2022.
And they're just you immediately can become a journeyman in this league, like snap of the fingers, and you're a discarded journeyman, basically. Someone pointed out that they still have, they have Watson, but he's He's not
I mean,
active.
Watson is
so-
not active.
right,
He's
so
not
this-
going to be around.
So,
So.
yeah, he's not active. He will not be a factor ever again in Cleveland. So no, that's
They
not
do
true.
not,
They
no.
really don't.
I mean, they're
have
paying him,
four QB.
so.
Yeah, they still stuck with the bill.
He's out there on
That's
the
for
field
sure.
like rehabbing. I've seen videos of that, but I think they've already
Yeah.
stated that he's not going to play.
Yeah,
this
they're
year,
letting him
so.
use the facilities
Yeah, exactly.
while paying for him.
Exactly.
So he will not be part of the team ever again.
He will not be part of the team ever again. And then, I mean, the question is, at some point, unless Joe Flacco comes in there and is just really, really good, and they're somehow competing for a playoff spot, at what point do you turn it over to either Gabriel or Sanders and figure out what you've got? Because, I mean, they're going to have an opportunity to draft a quarterback next year if they want to. And you would think, based on the way things normally go in Cleveland, that it could be a high pick. And, you know, they traded with Jags, right? So they got their first round pick too. So they're going to have a couple opportunities in the first round next year to take a quarterback if they choose to do so.
Which could turn Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders into tradable journeymen immediately. So
Good.
get some more guys circulating out there.
Good. As Trevor points out, that's Super Bowl winning journeyman Kenny Pickett. He does
That's
have
right.
a Super Bowl ring.
That's right.
Way to go, Kenny.
He's no matter what happens, he'll always, to me, be known as the guy who did that fake slide in the bowl game, which was pretty freaking awesome.
It
Or,
was.
I don't know if it was a bowl game. It was the ACC title game.
I think it was
whatever.
Yeah, I think it was ACC title game.
That was brilliant, man.
It was.
We'll always have that Kenny Pickett.
And the baby hands
And the baby
conversation around the
hands.
draft.
Yep. Oh, poor little baby hands.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. There's something that feels like an annual tradition almost that apparently is happening again that really upsets me. And we'll get into that coming up next. This is Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Later today on ESPN 94.9 The Fan, the Sounds take on Charlotte at First Horizon Park. First pitch at 6:35. Coverage also available on the Game Nashville app and at thegamenashville.com. Sounds baseball on ESPN 94.9 The Fan, presented by Twin Peaks and Family Leisure. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Tuesday morning. Dan Wolken of Yahoo Sports will join us at 7 o'clock. We'll get into all things college football with him, so looking forward to that. Joe, normally, we discuss something either we've talked about here on the show or, they go to ESPN.com and say, hey, look at this, or, hey, there's something interesting that came out in The Athletic. I go today to my personal email inbox. Okay. This is from YouTube TV. In order to provide you with the best live sports, news, and entertainment, YouTube TV enters into partnerships with content providers like Fox. Our current agreement with Fox is approaching its renewal date, and we are in active negotiations to continue carrying their content. Our priority is to reach a deal that's fair for both sides. We want to be transparent about these discussions. If we're unable to reach an agreement with Fox by August the 27th, which is tomorrow, their content may become unavailable. If this happens, this will impact channels like the Fox Broadcast Network, Fox News, Fox Sports, as well as any library recordings you have from these channels. We know how frustrating it is to lose channels, which is why it's our goal to keep Fox on YouTube TV. I feel like this is an annual tradition. Like YouTube TV gets into a squabble with somebody right before football season every year, whether it's like ESPN, ABC, NBC, Fox, CBS, whatever it is. And here we are again with college football starting this weekend, Joe. And by the way, Texas, Ohio State coming up on Fox. And apparently if they can't find reach an agreement by tomorrow, it's going to be a problem this weekend. We'll see how things go.
Yeah, it's just infuriating. It's just infuriating. And I can't even do my job Saturday. Like, I guess I go to the bar, take my computer to the bar, and have Texas Ohio State on. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
Then all of a sudden, gout enters fuse because you go in the bar, you might get a beer. Look what YouTube TV's doing here.
I will not get a beer, but yes, but they are putting me near it, so they're endangering me in some way. No, it's absurd, and it's just it's like it was. Oh yeah, cut the cord.
Yeah.
So much simpler and cheaper, and you can get away from all this crap. No, it's the same crap, and just work it out. I mean, this is such a. So what does YouTube do? Like if it doesn't happen, we'll give you like a $10 credit.
Yeah, you get a $10 credit, and they say if Fox becomes unavailable, you can continue to watch their sports, news, and shows by signing up for Fox One, which I guess is their streaming service. And it's like, well, I don't really want to do that. I'm paying for YouTube TV, so I don't really want to sign up for another one.
So if you have YouTube TV, that means all Fox entities are out?
I guess. Yeah.
That won't last.
Yeah.
They'll get that fixed.
I mean, I think so too. I mean, look, they've gone through these disputes before, and they always end up coming to a deal at some point. Yeah, I remember, DirecTV's gone through this. I mean, I guess all of them have gone through it at some point. And there have been instances, whether it's YouTube TV, DirecTV, Comcast, whatever, that they have missed out, whether it's like baseball season a few years ago, some people couldn't watch like Braves games. They've missed out on some hockey stuff. Football kind of feels like you better get your stuff figured out. Like you better get your stuff figured out before the football season comes around. I would hope that there's some urgency there.
You would hope so, and of course, it's no coincidence that that's what we're revolving around here. It's for a lot of people listening. It's probably the primary purpose or one of the primary purposes. I mean, for me, it's basically why I pay for. It's like watching football is it's necessary, but it's like a combination of job and also like what I like to do most. So Nevada Justice is why you stick to Charter/Spectrum. So DirecTV is also the same thing right now.
I don't know.
I used to have DirecTV for a long time, and we had plenty of these situations happened. I mean, shoot, DirecTV, the Big Ten Network came out in 08, I think, or 07. It was 07, and I mean, it was like a year.
Apparently, you
could get that.
Apparently, you can try Fox One their streaming service. You can try 7 days for free. So I would imagine if this YouTube TV thing doesn't get figured out, going to be a whole lot of people signing up for the trial run of Fox 1 this weekend for Texas Ohio State.
So I have the Fox Sports app.
Yeah,
Does that matter?
I don't know.
It matters if you can sign in through your TV provider.
But that's the thing.
But if you
it's
sign in through your TV provider
Yeah.
and they're doing the old
dispute.
switcheroo with,
so it's through YouTube TV. So
they
I'd be
might-
screwed. Right?
they might axe that. Yeah, you'd be screwed.
Might just have to sign up for Fox 1 for 7 days and remember to cancel after that.
Fox 1, great. Everybody, let's all add.
I can't keep up with the different things
No.
I've got to like watch all this stuff.
I
It's
need
crazy.
I need to hire someone to vet all my apps. And like, how many times are we double paying for stuff? Right
Yeah,
now, you know.
no, it's a good question. I mean, look, Texas Ohio State's coming up this weekend. It's on Fox. They better get ready.
I heard they
Well, in the
banned your
NFL.
boy too.
What's that?
Ohio State.
Yeah, they're not letting Portnoy in the building apparently.
You hear about that? Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. Good planning there, by a lot of good planning all the way around by Fox. So so what the heck does that mean? Dave Portnoy's on the city
out-
limits.
Yeah, Dave Portnoy is out on campus. He's not allowed in the stadium, but he's out on the sidewalk.
It's a Texas Ohio State game, and he's got his face painted Michigan maize and blue. Hi, Dave. Someone's saying Hulu has Fox,
Okay.
so I don't even know if we have Hulu. Good God.
I mean,
Such a mess.
it feels like at least one of these networks get into an argument with
if you
YouTube
think
TV
about
every
it,
year,
Fox,
right around
if
this
you-
time.
If you just need regular Fox, right? Over the air, get you some bunny ears. It'll be free.
It's true.
Yeah, that is
Go find
true.
You don't. All you need is the old antenna. It's on broadcast TV. You probably get all that for free. Probably a handful of free games this weekend.
I really don't want to go get bunny ears, but that is a solution.
It's a free solution. Broadcast television. There
That's
you
right.
go. The way it was originally made
That's right.
That's right. Go out on the roof and
for the people,
yeah.
That's what we
not
need. Is
profit.
Rexrode on the roof. Just get him out there on the roof messing with stuff. That'd be good.
Maybe lightning will hit my gout foot. Heal me.
Hey, Ben Franklin, right?
Bring some lightning. The Ben Franklin similarities continue. Good stuff.
Eureka. I don't think that's what Ben said.
737-1025 is our phone number. 615-737-1025. We'll have, I almost said we'll have Dave Portnoy coming up next. We will not.
That'd be fun.
We'll have Dan Wolken coming up next. from
F-bombs
Yahoo
galore.
Sports. We'll get into the college football headlines with him. A really, really good and exciting week one coming up in college football. So we'll get into that with Dan. Take your thoughts as well. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. 615-737-1025. This week's Nashville's Best Deals for Homegrown Tap Room and Kitchen in Donaldson. Homegrown Tap Room and Kitchen, a beloved neighborhood hub featured on diners, drive-ins, and dives, offers a gourmet twist on comfort food, and you can enjoy one of their 24 taps of craft beer selections, wine, and unique canned cocktails. Get half off a $100 gift card now at theGameNashville.com while supplies last. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Hour number 2, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Tuesday morning. And we head to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. And welcome in Dan Wolken to the program, now of Yahoo Sports. Dan, welcome in. First off, congrats on the new gig. Good to hear from you this morning.
Well, thank you. It's the first interview I've done where I've been introduced as Dan Wolken of Yahoo Sports, so that's cool.
Making some history here on the program this morning.
Yeah.
Glad to do it. Well, Dan, let's just start here. We've talked a lot around here the last few years, as you can imagine, about the SEC, the 9-game scheduling, what that could eventually look like, and now we know it's going to happen in 2026. So what do you make of this move by the SEC to move to a 9-game schedule, and what do you make of, I guess, what that does for the landscape now of college football moving forward?
Yeah, on one hand, you sort of look at it and go, like, why is this such a big deal, right? I mean, it's okay, you go from 8 conference games to 9 conference games. But, I guess within the context of what's going on with the playoff discussions and the SEC trying to outmaneuver the Big Ten, it kind of just feels like another checkmate moment. The Big Ten has sort of been out on this island about what playoff expansion is going to look like. The SEC, I think, is a little bit more strategic. They kind of wait to see which way the wind is blowing and then go in that direction. And I think that's what we're seeing here. Like, the SEC looked at it and said, okay, this 4 guaranteed bid playoff structure for the SEC and Big Ten is not going to be really popular. So we want more at-large bids. The Big Ten says, well, I mean, if you're going to play 8 conference games instead of 9 conference games, we can't have that, right? My overall philosophy is just sort of, as a conference, do what you do. Do what you feel like is best and let the chips fall where they may. But everyone is trying to outmaneuver everyone else. And I would say at this point, the SEC has thoroughly outmaneuvered the Big Ten with this decision.
Well, I would agree, Dan. My next question on the Big Ten is, okay, so are they going to back down from this, in my mind, ridiculous playoff idea that Tony Petitti has? And of course, now they've floated the 28 team or whatever it is. But again, the auto bids idea, the idea of the SEC and the Big Ten having more than the ACC and the Big 12. It was framed, or I guess it looked like it was about the 9-game thing, which, as you know, it still doesn't make things equal. And within these leagues, these schedules can be vastly different because they're way too big. But do you think this ultimately gets the Big Ten off that, or is Petitti going to keep pushing this?
Well, look, as we know, the SEC and the Big Ten are kind of jointly in control of how the playoff is going to look. And if they can't come to an agreement, then it probably just stays the same for the foreseeable future, which frankly, to me, that's the best solution. If it just stays at 12, I don't really need to see a 16-team playoff. I don't think anybody does. I don't think even TV really wants a 16-team playoff. There's not really a lot of money or much more money out there for it. So, I look, the Big Ten, and I've got a column coming out on this today. It'll be my first column for Yahoo Sports. They just don't really seem to be able to read the room very well. And they sort of are putting out this stuff, 2018 playoff. Well, that wasn't really even like an idea. It was more of kind of a, I would almost say, like for the group chats. It's the kind of thing you just throw out in your text chain, and it wasn't really a fully formed idea, but they just been on such a bad run of sort of messaging and public relations. They look to me like they're just sort of bumbling around, and the SEC is just kind of sitting back and saying, you guys can take all the heat here. We're just going to kind of roll with the punches and kind of come out with our hands clean.
So, Dan, we got a huge one, several huge ones coming up this weekend in week 1. It's an awesome week 1, but headlined by Texas and Ohio State. And you got the number 1 team in America coming into the season, taking on the reigning national champion. And as you pointed out a few weeks ago, like, I think there's an assumption that comes along with Arch Manning that he's just going to be great. And I get it. I get the family pedigree. I get the fact that he was a high-level 5-star recruit, but we've not seen him do it against high-quality opponents yet. So what's your intrigue level for Arch Manning and this storyline throughout the season, beginning on Saturday on the road against Ohio State?
Yeah, well, obviously it's a great game to start the season, and I think for both teams, it's one where we go in with a certain idea about what they're going to look like, but there's also big unknowns, both teams at the quarterback position. With Arch, I just don't want to be the guy committing to he's going to be as impactful or as good as Tim Tebow, which our friend Paul Feinbaum said he was going to be the best quarterback we've seen in college since Tim Tebow. I don't want to be on the record saying that when I haven't seen him play a significant snap. He's in those run packages, short yardage, all that stuff. But in terms of managing a game, seeing how things develop in real time, the ability to make adjustments, the ability to read the game in real time, these are just things that we don't know about quarterbacks generally until they get out on the field. We think we know, and then we don't. Obviously, all of the indicators would point to Arch being really, really good, but I just need to see it. And frankly, I'm not even going to make a lot of judgments off one game, whether it goes good or bad for him in Columbus. I just feel like we need more data. And at the end of the day, yeah, I think Texas is good and probably the team with the best chance to win a national championship because of all of the talent they have and the depth that Sarkisian's been able to put together through multiple recruiting classes. And I think Arch will be good enough, but I mean, I do think the range of outcomes for him is a lot wider than most people are giving it credit for.
Okay, Dan, I need to get you on this Tennessee offense. I have to get you on something Tennessee related. You know this, Dan.
Okay.
So Hendon Hooker cut by the Lions. It obviously did not work out. This is the latest quarterback that I'm completely wrong about going from college to the NFL. But my question for you is, and look, I think I wrote 3 years ago, Comedy Athletic, which is like this offense, coaches who run this offense, not just Tennessee, they need someone to go to the NFL and become a good quarterback. Obviously, this goes back to Baylor and guys who the offense, I think, frankly, made look better than they really were. And I think that's probably true of Hendon Hooker. Does it at any point become a problem for coaches who run this offense that quarterbacks and also a lot of receivers, not all, but a lot of receivers are not working out in this league because the translation it's so different from the NFL game?
It's a great question. It's certainly not a new topic. We could go back to, the wishbone and stuff like that, where, yeah, what is the job of the college coach? Is it to develop players for the NFL, or is it to implement the system that will give their program the best chance to win games? And obviously, if you're really hitting on both, then you're going to be in contention for national titles. I do think, and I hate to use the word gimmick because it's not a gimmick, but I do feel like there is a little bit of a expiration date on those kinds of offenses where, they're not as complex. They're not running as many NFL style concepts. The receivers aren't running NFL style route trees, all of those things. But at the same time, if it does continue to put up points, then what's the complaint really, at least from a college standpoint? I discount the recruiting angle so much now because the fact that I would say 90% plus of players are going to make a decision largely based on the best financial situation for them, which is totally fine. But it's something to monitor. It's something to watch. But I also, if I'm putting myself in Josh Heupel's shoes, I'm looking at it and go, look at the number of games we've won the last few years, and look at how productive the offense has been. What's the complaint here?
Yeah, no, that's a great point. I guess I would also say, so if the financial conditions are relatively the same, there's some post Nico spin, see, this is kind of what he was. It is I do still feel like at some point it would be good for them to just have someone, maybe Jackson Dart, right? Maybe he works out with the Giants, who basically from the same offense. All right, Dan, I looked at your X account. Very happy to see that the misery index is staying. You are continuing to do the misery index at Yahoo, which is a great thing. I also looked at these predictions, and I've got a couple I need to ask you about. You've got Nebraska as your surprise team, which is I could see that. And you are bullish on Belichick this year. You are bullish on Bill. What do you think about him and how that's going to go at North Carolina?
Yeah, I was actually shocked because we had that in our season predictions, and we all had to do, all of the college football people at Yahoo Sports had to do what North Carolina's record was going to be. And I didn't realize I was out on such a limb. I picked them to be 11-2. And I guess my philosophy on it is just don't overthink it. It's Bill Belichick. This is the ACC. Like this is not the AFC East. It's not like they're playing murderer's row of opponents every week. Belichick is going to be able to outcoach people. He just is. Like, I feel like this is going to be kind of easy for him. And I know that's strange to say. I know that sort of cuts against maybe some of the narrative we've heard since he took that job. I just kind of come back to, like, look at the fundamentals. He's arguably one of the greatest football coaches of all time at any level. Is he past his prime or whatever? I mean, maybe, but I think there is talent on that team. And I think if they're just coached like 10 to 15% better, that's going to translate to a lot of wins, and their schedule's not that hard. So I don't know how long it's going to last, but I do think there's a chance that North Carolina is like, a 9, 10, 11 win team that people are talking about, at least as a potential playoff team.
Well, Dan, great stuff, man. You're really kind with your time. Appreciate so much you taking time to be with us this morning. Congratulations on the new gig at Yahoo, and we will talk to you soon.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Yep, Dan Wolken, our guest here on Robby and Rexrode. We'll react to what Dan had to say, get into some college football coming up next. Take your thoughts at 615-737-1025. The Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode coming up later this hour as well. All that ahead. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game.
My thought is almost that you get rewarded for playing these games, because I think you probably ask the majority of the coaches around the country, they're thinking, man, that's a really hard thing to do, is play that game week 1 on the road or at home, depending on the year. And so I think from a CFP standpoint, it's almost like check mark the box for a positive, that they were willing to play the game. Maybe they won it, maybe they didn't, but surely they put themselves out there and were willing to do it, and I see so many people talk about like SEC scheduling and, not playing Power 4 teams. In this conference, it's real. Like, we're playing real teams. We all are. And on top of our own schedule, and on top of next year, we're going to 9 games. And so you're looking at a real schedule. And so the goal is to be rewarded for playing in these games. Obviously, you can reward yourself by winning. That's helpful. But I just don't think either us or Ohio State, for that matter, is going to get punished for playing in this game from a CFP standpoint.
That was Sark. Looking ahead to Texas and Ohio State coming up this weekend. So they're going to be rewarded. Win, lose, draw. They will be rewarded for playing this game. I am looking forward to it. It's going to be awesome. There are significant question marks, I think, with both teams, as Dan pointed out. Like, there's a new quarterback coming in for Ohio State. So what's that going to look like? They lost a lot of talent from last year. Now it's Ohio State, so it's not like they're devoid of talent out there. So, and they potentially have the best player in college football, and Jeremiah Smith. So a lot of interesting stuff on that front. And then Arch Manning taking over as starting quarterback for Texas. But some interesting discussion points there from Steve Sarkisian. Well, you can't help yourself by, winning the game. So we'll try to do that. We'll see if they can pull that off on the road on Saturday.
Yeah. Like I think this is a game that obviously it's a huge game. And I do think with the record, what the heck is it called? Record strength? Is that the official metric? I mean, I'm not saying that like losing the game should not be taken into account. Like, if you get to a certain number of losses, it is another loss on there. But yeah, like scheduling this game, it's almost like you get a mulligan if you lose it. If you don't get blown out, Well,
and particularly if both teams are as good as we think they are.
Exactly. But I just feel like there's just because this is what we want. The stupid Big Ten plan would kill September, and they don't get that. They're focused on, everybody in November is alive, and now the 7th place Big Ten team automatically gets in the freaking playoff. I mean, meanwhile, you kill September.
Yeah.
Because it just doesn't matter. All that you have to just get in the top whatever of your league, you're in the playoff. So what we need is we want September to be great. For September to be great, not saying that all these games should be mulligans if you lose them, but you want to reward a team just for the sentiment of you scheduled that game. That it should be at least discussed among the committee. They went out and scheduled that game. Meanwhile, Indiana, sorry to pick on Indiana, but I mean, they are the prime example. They went out of their way to schedule 3 absolute tomato cans before they got in their league, and that should be penalized, at least in discussion.
You want to hear a hot take I've got?
Yeah.
I can't understand why people are going nuts about it heading into the year. LSU's going 7-5. 7-5 for the LSU Tigers. You heard it here first.
That is a hot
They will
take.
lose to Clemson, Florida, South Carolina, Alabama, Oklahoma. 7-5 for the LSU Tigers this year. And that heat is going to get turned up real high on Brian Kelly at the end of the year. Their schedule is pretty brutal when you look at it. Now, they do have Florida at home, South Carolina at home, but we got the game against Clemson coming up this weekend, which is also going to be awesome. Alabama on the road, Oklahoma on the road. I think Vanderbilt on the road too, by the way. Ole Miss on the road too, by the way.
Yeah.
They got a pretty tough schedule. 7-5 for the LSU Tigers, who are currently ranked number 9 in the country.
Yeah, if they go 7-5 with Nussmeier, who again I think, looking at him, I think he's got a chance to be the most attractive NFL QB out of this group. I really do. If if that's the case, if he's close to what people hope he is, and you still go 7-5, that means your defense continues to be terrible, and that's a real problem. And I agree. Like to me, that would not. I don't think Brian Kelly could be that close to being fired, but next year he'd be on one of the hottest seats in the game.
Maybe our entire team needs to be executed after tonight.
Nice. And also
Another great execution on his joke status there.
Yeah, nice job, Brian. Also, Bryce
Family.
Underwood, of course, at Michigan. What if he's really good this year? I mean,
Yep.
I don't think he's going to be great. Of course, he's going to be a freshman. But if it looks clear that like next year he's going to be a great QB and he's playing for them. Now, granted, do you get mad at LSU for the fact that this dude got $12.5 million to go to Michigan?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess, you have to have a little bit of grace there, but still, that's a killer.
Yeah. I mean, it's a big year for them. Looking around the rest of the country right now, like when you start talking about SEC hot season, we talked about this at SEC Media Days. Nobody got fired last year, which is just amazing to me in the SEC. I mean, it's usually at least one, most of the time more than one coach that gets fired. Like, again, I'm with you. I don't think if they go 7-5, 8-4, or not in the playoff, that Brian Kelly's going to get fired at the end of the year, but it makes next year pretty darn important for him that way. So that's something to keep an eye on there. Like, we've talked about Arkansas and Sam Pittman, who felt like he was going to be fired about 3 times in that job and has not been fired to this point. And does it restart with Billy Napier, right? Like, Billy Napier in Florida have some expectation to him this year. DJ Lagway has been up and down in camp. He's been unhealthy. So what does that look like as the season comes around here? And again, you look at the Florida schedule, and they got talent, and the expectation for them is higher this year. But then you open up the schedule, and it's like, all right, so you still have Miami, LSU, A&M, Georgia, Tennessee, Ole Miss to play against this year. And Florida State, who knows what they are at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Pretty darn difficult.
No question about it. I got a couple quick hot takes to share.
Okay.
Penn State's winning it all.
Oh,
I think that's a hot take.
I think it is too.
Penn State's going to win the national championship.
Okay.
James Franklin absolutely deserves. He's 1-18 against top 5 opponents. That includes 0-3 at Vanderbilt. So he's 1-15 at Penn State. Largely, it does include at least, I think probably 2 or 3 losses to Michigan. A lot of it's Ohio State. He just has not been able to get over the Ohio State hump. Which, look, if you want to be great, you want to be one of the greats, you should be in contention and win it all at Penn State, and he hasn't been able to get over that hump. So it's fair. But I also think it forces people to miss a little bit. His tenure right now, 11 years, he has had more success than Paterno's last 11 years at Penn State. And yet Bill O'Brien did a good job of bringing that program out of the Sandusky stuff and all that. But Franklin has done a really good job, and he's got to prove it, and Drew Aller has to prove it. That's the key. Is he going to put it all together? I'm saying he does. And that all this stuff ends and that Franklin dunks on it, and that, of course, would be 3 straight for the Big Ten. They do look like the same kind of team with tons of veterans back that Michigan did 2 years ago, that Ohio State did last year.
Normally, I would say that the number 2 team, the AP poll winning the championship, does not qualify as a hot take, but I will allow it with Penn State.
Yeah, it's just you're right. It's like it doesn't seem that hot of a take. By the way, apparently Chase hates the term hot take, so we have to make sure we say hot take.
Oh, good.
I mean, what else do you call like a opinion that's a little bit controversial? Yeah, exactly, right? Like it's a hot take. It's a little going out on a limb.
There we go.
If we can think of a better term, then I'll entertain it. But for now, I'm saying hot take. Another one, this is not apparently a hot take because, like at The Athletic, this was an overwhelming choice. I was shocked because I put this in, and I can't believe that 14 other people voted for this. Jeremiah Smith's winning the Heisman Trophy. I guess that's not a hot take. Like I figured, again, Arch, Nussmeier, Klubnik, there's some Jeremiah Love. Yeah, like quarterback usually wins it, but a lot of people are on Team Jeremiah, way more than anybody else at The Athletic, at least.
Yeah. So
I don't know. I thought that was a little bit spicier than it is. You got another one, Navy, college football playoff this year.
All right.
Which, of course, I'm telling you, Blake Horvath, tons of guys back, all the skill guys back on the offense, NFL defensive linemen. And like Blake Horvath and that offense is so fun to watch. And they are going to be the team. The favorite of the group of 5 is Boise State. Huge game, by the way. This Thursday. It's a 4:30. But Boise State at Alice Gosha, South Florida. That is a gigantic game in that playoff picture.
There's a quarterback on Navy's roster that I used to babysit.
Really?
Want to make you feel old there. Yep. Shout out to Mason Baker, Hendersonville High School.
Mason Baker.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yep.
Did you play catch with him at all? Like, or do you have any sort of like, part of his development?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Probably primarily responsible for it, to be honest with you.
Well done.
So if
man.
Navy ever wins a national championship with Mason Baker at the quarterback, right here.
Dang,
I'll take credit.
That's awesome.
Between him and T Swift.
There's
got
a
'em all
lot of
figured
development
out.
going on
Yeah,
out there.
Robby.
Seriously, like you just churning out stars out of
A
Hendersonville
lot
left
of
and
development
right.
going on.
Good
up
job,
there.
man.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. 615-737-1025. We'll continue the college football discussion coming next. Plus, a question from Rexrode about one of the most fascinating teams in the country this year that I'm interested to see how people respond to this. We'll get into that coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. We will have another spot to give away in our Robby and Rexrode Fantasy Football League a little bit later in the show. The second spot of the week will be up for grabs, and we will have 6 spots in total to give away. So 1 a day until Thursday, and then on Friday we will give away 2 spots in the Robby and Rexrode Fantasy Football League. So looking forward to that. Taking your thoughts in the meantime, 615-737-1025. Joe, there is a team out there in college football that is going to garner a lot of attention this year, not because they are some traditional college football power, or not even because they have the expectation of winning a national championship, but because they've spent a whole lot of money this offseason to build their roster through NIL. So as we look at it, Texas Tech, we've talked about this. I am rooting for total failure with Texas Tech and the way that they've constructed their team this year. I am interested to see how college football fans in general view them, view their expenditures, and whether or not they have any strong feelings for rooting for or against Texas Tech this year in college football.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed to hear that you are down on them. I think it's one of the most fascinating stories in the sport. I love the idea of anyone coming out of left field that's not one of the 10 to 12 programs you expect to be up there with the most money, with the biggest budgets, et cetera, the most NIL, the biggest boosters, who's going to come in there. And, this guy is
ranked 1 spot ahead of Tennessee. A little bit disrespectful. They're 23. Tennessee's 24.
And that's the thing. It's like, it's not like the expectations are off the charts for Texas Tech, but they still kind of are, maybe not from the preseason polls, but I mean, the money they've spent, and Joey McGuire has said, this is the most talented team in the Big 12. This team should win the Big 12. He's putting it on himself.
Yeah.
Which I also appreciate. They've absolutely loaded up just in terms of, if you look at the talent on their roster, and some of the, and in some cases have just really overpaid relative to what other teams are willing to pay guys, because they've got Cody Campbell, former lineman for Texas Tech, just absolutely strikes it big in the oil business and says, let's go, man. Let's just go. And of course, this year is the load up year too, because of the stupid NIL go garbage that is not going to work at all. But in advance of that, these teams have loaded up with some of their deals for players. So it's a huge number what they're paying. I would like to see them do it. I'd like to see them win and charge in there and follow up rather than fall flat on their face. I'm interested to know what the general college football fan thinks about that.
Well, the good news is the first 2 weeks they're going to look unbelievable. They play Arkansas Pine Bluff, and then they play Kent State. And if you're familiar with Kent State, not very good.
Pretty bad program.
So Texas Tech going to look very good the first 2 weeks. I am very much confident in that. Like you said, you look through the rest of the schedule, at Arizona State, be a tough game. Kansas State, we'll see what shape they're in and if their quarterbacks' families fighting each other throughout the streets of every program, every stadium they go to at that point. But their schedule is very navigable. Like you've got Utah, Houston, BYU, but that's not a schedule that you look at and you're like, wow, a lot of really tough teams that they're playing against on that schedule there. So they very well could end up winning double-digit games this year. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, and you're right. Like they could be a little bit of a paper tiger.
Yes.
I mean, the Big 12, that's I think that there are a lot of good teams in the Big 12. I think Iowa State and Kansas State, both of them. I think those teams can go in other leagues and win a lot of games and be competitive. There isn't necessarily anyone truly great. Obviously, Colorado is going to take a step back. So, I mean, having a great record in the Big 12 may not mean as much to people this year. But also what we think about teams in the preseason can change a lot. And who knows, like a Baylor could emerge out of there. But Texas Tech, again, on paper talent, best team.
They're the co-favorites to win the Big 12, according to FanDuel. Them and Arizona State at plus 550 odds.
And Arizona State is going to be really interesting, losing Cam Scatterbo, I mean, that is a loss.
How do you overcome that?
Well, that's pretty.
You think he's the greatest football player of all time? How do you overcome that?
Pretty freaking good, man. Yeah, pretty freaking good. He's going to do some damage in this league, but they still have Sam Levitt at quarterback, who would be probably one of the dark horse Heisman candidates. They just seem like a team that's ripe for you become the hunted after they're like picked last year. But that is a good example of the Big 12 and how there's some teams we may be sleeping on right now that may be better than we think. But I just feel like they're due for a step back.
Now, did you throw this next question in there just to get me to sound off on Shane Beamer or Eli Drinkwitz, or was this genuine curiosity in your point?
Well, I know your answer, but I just like Nick Saban gone. I think a lot of people, obviously not Alabama fans, I think a lot of people other than that hated Nick Saban. I think there's also some begrudging respect for him because he was so good. But I'm like, who is the most hateable coach in college football? Harbaugh's gone. Harbaugh, by the way, Harbaugh has been branded a cheater. He can't come back till 2038. I don't think I've given this take on the show. If I have, I apologize. I mean, people who think like this show cause is nothing for Harbaugh. What if it doesn't work out with Justin Herbert? Is that not possible? Like
it's possible.
In the next couple of years, Herbert's just not that guy. They're not that team. They're middling. They're not really a contender. Does Harbaugh just get to keep that job forever?
I don't think so.
Okay, so then if he gets bounced and all of a sudden he's not – remember, Jim Harbaugh, since that 49ers uprising when he did a great job, there was a certain moment in time he had Colin Kaepernick and he had a great defense. I mean, it was a huge disappointment at Michigan. Then things magically got better. We know now why, or at least largely why. So if you're someone out there hiring and then it doesn't work with the Chargers, you're telling me that guy wouldn't have to possibly look at college football for a head coaching job again? Because he's a guy who's going to want to coach forever. And you think that 2038 doesn't sting him? Just people dismissing that as a non-penalty, it makes no sense to me. But anyway, he's gone too. He was an obvious choice high on the list. Belichick's in.
Yep.
So who do you hate the most? Who is the college football? Dabo, I feel like, has kind of like
Dabo's up there.
Well, I feel like just like his program seems to be revived and it's starting to like, wow, look at what he's done. I almost feel like he's less
snarky.
Well, he's just less annoying,
Yeah.
maybe. I don't know why. Maybe it's because it's like we've gotten away from all the, they shouldn't pay players and whatever. Like it's okay, just move on, dude. So I feel like
guts.
Dabo, I think
Urban Meyer used to be up there.
Oh yeah,
right. He's out of there too. So who is your hateable coach? Who is the coach you hate the most?
from a national, like putting my Shane Beamer bias aside, from the national view, the first guy that comes to mind is probably Brian Kelly.
Yep, me too.
Yeah, like Brian Kelly is probably that guy, would be my guess.
James Franklin.
Yeah,
he's up there.
There are people that don't like him. Look, there are people that hate Kirby. I think it's a lot largely because the coach that wins a lot is going to get some of that.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of viewing this just straight up guys that are pretty easy to dislike, and I think Brian Kelly is probably number one.
Yep, Texture agrees with you. Says it's Brian Kelly. That guy is a doorknob. I did. Look, I totally agree. I've been familiar with him going way back before. And
He's been a jerk for a long time.
Yeah, before anyone knew who he was, when he was at Grand Valley State and the whole time. And he's consistently been very unlikable. He's consistently. And this SEC, I didn't watch all of it, but the SEC, which is very good what I watched. It's the same thing. It's just like, it's hard. Like, how do you like this guy?
Yeah.
Like, how do you like this guy? If you look at his tenure at Notre Dame and how poorly it was going, I think you look at Clark Lee. Clark Lee deserves a lot of credit for helping turn that around. And some of it was just like, hey, someone who is a human who players like on the staff seems to be good to counteract what Brian Kelly does.
Yeah. I think it's got to be him, right? Like there's, I'm trying to think of who else would really even be close.
I think BK, I do think that it's like the coach who is unlikable and also actually wins. I think, like, what about Ryan Day?
Well, like
He got some pity
is
last
he
year.
unlikable? Yeah, like I don't know that he's unlikable. He just, I mean, there's a lot of votes rolling in for Deion Sanders, but like,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's true. There's some people that there's people who definitely don't like Dion, and that'll continue, and we'll
but they're going to
enjoy
win
it.
like 5 games this year.
The Missouri guy gets some slack sometimes. Drinkwitz.
Oh yeah,
Well, for Robby, and Robbie's not alone. I mean, Beamer and Drinkwitz are two
Drinkwitz,
extremely annoying.
I would say Drinkwitz from a larger college football scale. People look at him and like, look at this absolute nerd
Yeah,
out there. Yeah,
right. Good vote for Hugh Freeze. I think that's a good. I
Yeah.
think Freeze is someone that definitely. Jake and Greenbrier can't stand Signetti. I think Signetti.
he's got some potential.
No, he's got potential. You know, especially like I mean, I just think of like his game day thing before the game
Yeah.
before the Notre Dame game was like, okay, calm down, man, please.
Yeah.
And now all of his bluster about the schedule when he should be embarrassed by his own scheduling. So he's a good one.
I mean, I guess Dion would be the other one, right? Like people have strong opinions on Dion one way or the other. I don't think that he's like as universally disliked as like somebody like Brian Kelly is.
Well, and I do think that Dion. Look, I mean, everybody hated how he came in there and how telling everybody you guys are going to be out of here, all this stuff and all the stuff. I mean, I think him battling cancer, being willing to come back and fight, and then come back and do that job under these circumstances to show it wasn't just some stepping stone. Yeah. I feel like there's less hatred for him now out there overall. Kiffin, someone threw him out. That's another good one. He's always hovering around the list. Dorkowitz, nice.
That's pretty good.
Mike Gundy. Daniel Ryan throws Mike Gundy out. Mike Gundy absolutely should be.
He should be on the list. Yeah,
somewhere.
definitely.
No question.
He's a man.
Yeah, I mean the problem is they like when a team nosedives like last year, you forget about people sometimes.
I'm a man. I'm 58.
God,
you gotta just do it once a year.
So freaking long ago.
Yeah.
So depressing.
Plus, he always trying to like flirt around with another job, only to go back to Oklahoma State.
Get the raise. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. The Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode is coming up next. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game.
Sometimes he wakes up on the wrong side of the bed. And sometimes he's just, well, Joe.
Awkward moment. Let's do it.
This is the Rex Rant, now on Robby and Rexrode.
I'm wrong all the time.
We had a love fest. We all kind of gathered around. We hugged each other.
Drop trowel. I'm going to stick this in your ass.
Geographically,
There's not a south part of Detroit.
it's just
North,
east,
south,
and west.
east.
A lot of people are asking about the gout.
Delicately and tenderly shown the ways of flavorful meat love.
I'm right sometimes too.
You know, some of these rats around here, so.
Oh my God. My ass is burning.
Gonna get to you, girl.
You know, I knew a couple of those things you said yesterday had a chance to make it in the rotation, and boy, they sure did.
Immediately they did.
Yep. Just beautiful. I love it. It's time for the Rex Rate with Joe Rexrode.
My goodness.
Joe, the floor is yours.
Thank you.
Yep.
It's very regrettable that I talk into microphones. Okay. Let's go back to this offense. I find this to be a great topic, and let's go back to what set off a little bit of a storm yesterday, which was my colleague at The Athletic and friend of the show. We haven't had him on in a while, but you know, Ted Gwynn does. He's a film guy for us, NFL film guy for us. He does, you know, most of his stuff is X's and O's with football. He knows his stuff, and he quote tweeted, news tweet about Hendon Hooker being cut by the Lions. And this is what he said. He said, quote, that Tennessee offense puts skill players in a developmental hole. Then he follows it up and says, and clearly, you know, let's see how much longer after it was about 4 hours later, after, my goodness, the storm of tweets from Vol Twitter that, and I read some of the, replies, and some of them were just ridiculous. And some, you know, it's a good argument, but this is what he says then is he says, quote, Tennessee fans seem shocked by this, but the offense has the QB waiting for an isolated receiver to run a deep choice route. Extremely productive in college with the right talent, doesn't translate to the pros. And he goes into, he also shared something that Dante Thornton said recently. And Thornton, by the way, has made some inroads. And by the way, Cedric Tillman's about to be QB2, I believe, or QB2, wide receiver 2 for the Browns. You know, Jalen Hyatt, big year for him. It's not like there's nobody who's doing anything in the NFL. But this is a quote from Thornton. Quote, that was mostly every team's main talking point was asking with the offense that we run here at Tennessee if I'm able to run those pro-style routes. I had to be very intentional playing 2 seasons here at Tennessee. We don't have the same wide route tree that most pro-style offenses have. That's just, end quote. That's just the reality.
Yeah.
So this is a fair discussion. I don't know what it means. We've been talking about it for years. I've written about it before. It's, you know, the question here really is, to me, it's the recruiting impact. And maybe Dan Walker said, does it matter? First of all, people do make financial decisions, right? Like Bryce Underwood went to Michigan. He was going to go to LSU. Michigan, you got the wife, a Michigan alum who is the wife of one of the richest men in the world, basically said, can you throw out a few mil here so I can buy a QB for my alma mater? And then she combined with Dave Portnoy, who's unbanned from Ohio State?
Apparently so.
Okay, that's great. And so they bought Bryce Underwood, $12.5 million. I think it can go up to like $15 million or whatever. So obviously that's a huge part of the decision. But also, Michigan runs an offense that translates. Michigan just sent J.J. McCarthy to the NFL. I still think there's a lot of people who are like, yes, we want the money now. We're going to get the money now. You're going to get a couple million a year if you're that level of prospect. But what place gets you ready for the NFL? Because if you are good in the NFL, well, you can make $250 million. Is that a little bit different than $12 million? Yeah, I think it is. So we have the avalanche of Vol homers who go off, and the quote tweets on Ted Gwynn, it's just a stream of, well, actually, this isn't about the offense. This offense just made a bad player look good. So now all of Vol Nation is Hendon Hooker sucked, has no talent. Josh Heupel propped him up, and that's that. Here's my thing. And it's so true in so many things. It applies to so many discussions. Why can't both things be true?
Yeah.
I think both things are true to a point. How much, I don't know. I do think that Tennessee and that offense made Hendon Hooker look better than he was. He was a backup at Virginia Tech. He didn't have a lot going on. He also had been hurt at Virginia Tech. He had incredible numbers at Tennessee. But it is a very fair question about this offense and whether it does prepare you. It is like an old option offense. It's just not like they do in the NFL. And I think that at some point it could be damaging to recruiting. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think that's possible. Why can't both things be true?
Yeah, it's a fair question to bring up. And again, they need a quarterback to move on to the NFL and have a good NFL career, or at least the makings of a good NFL career. And, you thought for a while maybe that Nico had a chance to be that guy, and then he up and bolted, and we'll see what he does in his career. But even if he goes on and have a good NFL career now, he's not going to be traced back to Tennessee because of that. So it is what it is. To your point, it has not hurt them in recruiting yet when it comes to the quarterback position. They've got Faison Brandon coming in, who is, depending on where you look, the number one recruit in America. So they got him coming in. I mean, look, George McIntyre is a pretty high level recruit, right? So they have been able to recruit the quarterback position very well under Josh Heupel. But I do wonder, if some point it comes along and they look around and they say, you know what? It's just there's just so much limited evidence of this offense translating to the NFL. Do I have to think about going somewhere else? And we spend so much time on quarterback about that, but I think the Thornton quote kind of tells you that the offense as a whole, I remember some of the discussion about Dylan Sampson. It's all right, well, how good is Dylan Sampson really? Because the offense that he runs at Tennessee is tailor-made to open things up in the running game, and you're just not going to get that in the NFL. So I think it's fair questions to bring up about the offense. I also think, look, Joe Milton clearly got better at Tennessee than he was at Michigan. I mean, Hooker definitely got better at Tennessee than he was for Virginia Tech. So
yep.
It can be both things. I know this. If I'm Georgia, if I'm Alabama, if I'm Florida, whoever in the SEC, I'm in a recruiting battle with Tennessee for a quarterback or a wide receiver, I am screaming this from the mountaintops right now because it absolutely has been and will be used against Tennessee until somebody gets in the NFL and proves differently.
Yeah. Look, and sometimes it's circumstantial. I mean, for a long time, Ohio State just didn't have quarterbacks who were working out in the NFL. I don't think it was a system thing at all. Just how it was working out. And now, of course, that has changed. But this is system based, And I'm absolutely, if Tennessee and Georgia are the top two for we got to have this guy, that's Georgia's going to hammer that. And maybe it doesn't matter, but I don't think that you just ignore this. And, I know this is also for some people now coming back on the Nico thing. See, this is really what it's about. I don't buy that. I think it was about them trying to get more money, but was it something that they discussed? Is this really the best way to get Nico to the NFL? Maybe it's better to try something else. Someone says, I see the argument, but Tillman, Hyatt, Hooker, Milton, Velus Jones, Darnell Wright were not getting drafted prior to Hopper arriving at UT. You're wrong about Darnell Wright. Darnell Wright was a talent. You're right. I agree with you, Robbie. Milton, Hooker, of course, they got better. I think talents like Hyatt, Tillman, I think they get to play in a lot of different systems, and they're good enough to be in the elite. I think Sampson, it may make it easier, but at least as a running back, it's not like it's some translation issue. You know what I mean? Yes, the box is lighter, but I think Dylan Sampson is going to be good in the NFL. I think we saw that. He's a good player.
And look, if I'm Tennessee, I think, what Walken brought up earlier in the hour, what's your job if you're Josh Heupel? Is it to get people to the NFL that play well, or is it to win games? It's to win games. Now, if you can do both, great. That's awesome. But his job is to win games for Tennessee. So I'm not changing the system. I think one of the things you're hearing out of Tennessee camp right now is Joey Aguilar is operating at a pace where they're running their offense and it's going fast. And, that's been a complaint they've had the last couple of years around there is Milton and Nico couldn't do it. They couldn't run it as fast as they want to run it. So I'm not even advocating for them to change their system. What they need is for a high-level recruit to come in at quarterback, a guy like Mike Matthews starting this year to be incredibly productive and then get to the NFL and be that guy. Like, look, Mike Matthews is a 5-star recruit. He could have gone to a lot of places in the country and gone on to the NFL and be a good player. We'll see what it looks like for him, but that's what they need. They need a guy like Matthews to be really good for them the next 2 years, get into the NFL, and be one of those guys at wide receiver. They need, whether it's George McIntyre or Faison Brandon, to play really well in this system in college and then go to the NFL and be a good starting quarterback in the NFL. And if those things happen, then people are going to shut up about this. But until then, they're not. It's going to be a thing.
Agree.
615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. We'll continue this conversation, plus another development in the NFL that, maybe the Titans should take a look at when they start looking at their roster on the bottom part of it today. We'll get into all that coming up as well next hour. We do have a fantasy football spot to give away in the next hour as well. All that ahead. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Final hour, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios. Home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership where the buzz is always about great service. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. People are upset at you.
Well, and they're so missing the point here. There's so many people missing the point. Let me call them out, okay? First of all, I love this on the text line. We got John in Nashville, and we got John from Nashville.
We do, yes.
John in Nashville says, question, is there any school with more than one starting QB in the NFL? Louisville might have 2, LOL. John from Nashville says, you guys are attributing Hendon Hooker being cut by the Lions because he played in UT's system. You don't know that was the reason. It could have been numerous things that caused him not to succeed there. Now let's go to Zach Sharp on the YouTube chat. Says, no other school has players flame out in the NFL, only UT. Who's the best NFL QB Kirby has put out? Again, this is not strictly about UT. It's about system. So, like we've talked about this before, this goes back to Baylor. They had this ridiculous run of success with this offense. That's what this is. This is Art Briles' offense that he developed as a high school coach in Texas, brought to Baylor. It has fanned out to other places. It's changed. Heupel has changed it. You know, another guy Heupel had, who had ridiculous numbers, who was a prominent NFL draft pick. His name was Drew Lock, another guy who flamed out. Baylor had a bunch of guys who had ridiculous numbers, who did nothing in the NFL. Now, RG3 was Rookie of the Year, won the Heisman, and then it went downhill from there. How much of that is injury? I don't know. I'm not saying the system caused it. What I'm saying is this system, not just UT, this system. So Ole Miss, if you're a UT fan, you know who you root for to work out in the NFL? You root for Jackson Dart to work out in the NFL because he would buck that narrative. But the narrative has, we're talking almost 2 decades now of waiting for these guys to work out. And the receivers, there's been some success. I mean, Kendall Wright had a little success here. There have been some guys who have had 6, but you also haven't had. I think the thing is, it's just the translation is tough early. Whereas college football, most offenses in college football now translate quite well to the NFL. And so you have much quicker adaptation from receivers, really, than you used to. And, you know, quarterbacks too. Everything's faster, as we've talked about.
Well, and by the way, this is not a Joe Rexrode conversation. Because as we pointed out, Dante Thornton was asked about this and is talking about this with the Raiders. Like, this is clearly on the mind of NFL teams and NFL evaluators, is looking at the offense that Tennessee runs. And they're not the only ones, but that Tennessee runs, and saying, all right, can you translate what you did at Tennessee to the NFL, which is totally different. And that's at quarterback, but it is also at wide receiver, right? Like, wide receiver, you're not running wide splits out there in the NFL. It's a different thing. You're not running choice routes all the time where you're making one read and going like against one guy singled up all the time. Like, it's a very different game in the NFL.
And I'm with you. Like, if I'm Heupel, I'm not changing it. It is. Kirby Smart said this a couple years ago before they smothered Tennessee in that huge game in Athens. He said it was on game day, and I'd never heard it put that. I remember that week I wrote like a 3,000-word story about this offense and all this stuff, all these different, a lot of interesting stuff. But then he said that, I'm like, God, that's brilliant. That's exactly what it is. Like, this is basically today's version of like the wishbone or of the. And so if you're old enough to remember like those Oklahoma and Nebraska teams and those quarterbacks, Scott Frost, Jamel Holloway, great stars in college football, Heisman winners, Heisman candidates, but you knew they weren't going to play in the NFL. This is not exactly that, but it's a scheme that works. It's a scheme that gives you massive production. It is a scheme that, like, what you're doing on a snap-by-snap basis, you just aren't doing in the NFL, and there really aren't, other than other option of, like, the service academies still run like a lot of drill, like that's the same. Obviously, that also doesn't translate. Again, the question is just, I'm not changing it. If it's working, I'm winning. That is my job. The question is, at some point, does it, not just for Tennessee, but for any school running this offense, become something where you start losing people because, well, we're offering the same amount of money. We have huge numbers here. I mean, Nick Saban, Nick Saban loves to be like, well, we just send guys to the NFL. That's why we recruited so well. Well, come on. Back before NIL, there was NIL, okay? But Alabama won, and also they sent so many guys to the league.
Yep.
And it's just like, if you want to play for championships and you want to be in the NFL, Alabama. Same thing now with Georgia. It's just an NFL feeder program. You want that. That takes you to the higher level. And if you're Tennessee, what do we talk about? Can you get to that top shelf? And I do wonder a little bit if this starts to hurt in some cases as we see people continue to not work out in the league.
Well, and again, like people keep coming back to like we're the players that we're talking about in Tennessee's perspective, whether it's Hooker or Milton or Hyatt or whatever. Like, are they really that good? I don't know. Like, certainly Hooker, but his profile before he got to Tennessee did not lead you to believe that he was going to be an NFL player, right? Now, he came to Tennessee and he played great in that offense. Milton, a little bit higher level of recruit. Everybody saw the arm. It's unbelievable.
Right.
But we know what the limitations are with Milton in terms of he's throwing it 5,000 miles an hour all the time. So there have been things with each of these guys, both before they got to Tennessee and after Tennessee, that you can nitpick about all of them, which is why I continue to say what they really need to stop all this is one of these next two quarterbacks that they've recruited at a pretty high level to come in, hit at Tennessee, hit in the NFL, and a guy like Mike Matthews, who is a 5-star recruit, to hit this year at Tennessee, hit next year at Tennessee, and then hit in the NFL. That's what they need. And if that happens, we're not going to be talking about this anymore.
Yeah, and I'll tell you another thing. Here's a text here. It says, I think the story is probably that the majority of players will run the NFL regardless of the system. Oh, that is true. But again, we're talking about narratives. We're talking about system. It's something NFL people talk about. It's something coaches talk about to recruits. I promise you.
Yeah.
Like you can pretend that's not the case, but it is the case. And sometimes those things can be exaggerated. Of course they can. But this is not nothing. Here's another thing. What if Nico goes to UCLA
and plays great
and lights it up and goes? You think that if he then goes to NFL, he's not going to say, well, getting away from that Tennessee system really helped me get ready. He will. I promise you. Get ready for it.
Paul Karski has weighed in on our own personal text line.
Oh, boy.
Says he's coming in late. Says Joe would have taken Hooker 11th. Has this been covered? Mea culpa. Forgiveness requested. He's wondering.
Well, yeah, I clearly was wrong. I mean, again, people are getting mad at me because I'm like, well, it doesn't mean could he possibly recover, find another place, get better, have a chance at some point? I mean, I don't think what we saw in 2022 was just smoke and mirrors all propped up by Heupel and Alex Golesh. I think what we saw was a really good freaking football player. But yeah, of course, I was wrong. I mean, dude, again, I thought Ryan Leaf was a better choice than Peyton Manning, okay? So just start there. Now, I'm wrong all the time. Now, people get mad, though, if you don't close the door. He will never throw a pass. He will never tie his shoes again. I'm not going to say that. And I do think that someone like him, not necessarily him, but not necessarily not him, could be a decent idea for the Tennessee Titans.
Well, we will get into that coming up next. Does that qualify as a mea culpa from Rexrode? We'll take your thoughts on that.
I'm wrong.
Well.
I was wrong.
Take your thoughts on that as well. We also have a spot in the Robby and Rexrode Fantasy Football League to give away coming up next. We will do it. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Here's our phone number. People are still yelling at Rexrode. Koharski's
Yeah, well, Koharski's
getting
full
after
of
you.
crap. Just shut up, Koharski. Seriously, shut up. Again, it's funny because Koharski loves it. Oh, he went to divorce, and so you're such a homer. Well, yes, it must have been purely orange homerness.
GB Joe, baby.
That's right. It couldn't have been the 58 touchdowns and 5 interceptions in 2 years. It couldn't have been that in 2022, he was the clear Heisman frontrunner. He was epically, incredibly clutch and productive and awesome in a win over Alabama. It was an all-time game with a duel between Hooker and Bryce Young, who everybody knew was probably going to be the number one pick. Couldn't possibly be that he was good at all or might play in the NFL. You just had to be a pure homer to think that. There's no data to support it whatsoever. Great call, Koharski. Shut up.
Bewildering and outrageous.
Nice.
One texter says it's very possible that Hendon Hooker was a good college player and is nothing but a third stringer, backup at best. It's very possible, entirely likely, actually. It wasn't hard to see if your glasses aren't orange.
Okay. No reason to think he might be good. Just only if you're a homer. You had to be part of Vol Twitter. Everybody else who wasn't in Vol Twitter was like, this guy sucks. What's this guy done? What's he doing? He not doing anything good. What are we looking at here? You homers. I mean, it's such revisionist history. It's comical. And again, Hendon Hooker on his own in a vacuum, most people don't work out. Most great college quarterbacks don't work out at all in the NFL. So that's what it is. I mean, and maybe it's true that Hendon Hooker, if he wasn't in that system, never has a whiff of success. That's possible.
Maybe.
I hear you. This is the two things being true. But what I'm saying is, here's yet another guy in this system, not just at Tennessee, but in this system, that has gone to the NFL and it has not worked out. And if you don't think people are talking about that, if you don't think that every coach in college football who recruits against any team that runs this offense isn't yelling that through a megaphone, you're crazy. And that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, I totally agree. Ben says by the time one of these recruited quarterbacks hit at Tennessee for a couple years, then hit in the NFL, it'll be 2030. Can Heupel survive?
Was he winning?
Yeah, is he winning games? Then yeah, like he's won at a pretty high level. Now I understand that, eventually you're going to get to the point where it's like, okay, are you competing for national championships? And look, I said it at the time, the Adidas money, when that kicks in, it's going to be like, well, okay, you're good. You've been a top 10 recruiter. You got all this money coming in and you say it's going to make a big difference in recruiting. You better get yourself into the top 5. Like you better recruit at a high level. So I'm not saying that there are not challenges coming for Heupel, but I mean, he's been a pretty consistent winner here. So we'll see. I think it's certainly plausible that he could still be there in 2030.
I mean, someone brought up USC as another program with a great tradition, obviously, of sending guys to the NFL. And that has continued in Lincoln Riley. I'll take being Josh Heupel with a system everybody's ripping and going 10-2 over Lincoln Riley sending the number one QB to the NFL and going 7-5, because that's going to get him fired.
Yeah.
If you win, if your system works, you're going to stick with it. Now, again, if it gets to the point where you have to go to option 4 or 5 at quarterback, or you're missing out on the 5-star Mike Matthews at receiver because of this narrative, well, that might end up affecting you and affecting your success.
Devin says, Joe, stop yelling. The old lady standing at her mailbox that I just gave her mail to looked at me funny. You're scaring my customers.
Wait, when you got me going like guys going like in the AirPods or something? Is it bleeding through the AirPods?
Kuharski's trying to take a victory lap on Twitter too.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Hey, Paul, the NFL season's about to start. Do some work.
We'll have Paul on our show later this week at some point.
Guess we get to revisit this.
Here was this tweet, quote, beat down Joe Rexrode over Hooker on 102.5 The Game. He was a 3rd or 4th round pick. Joe thought worth 11th overall.
You're such a dumbass, Koharski. So I want you to tell me right now, Paul.
You weren't monitoring your tone very much.
You weren't.
Not
much tone monitoring there.
Have you ever, Paul, overestimated a quarterback? Have you ever said, you know what? I think that guy is a first-round quarterback, and then the quarterback turned out to not be good? I'll hang up and listen. Let me know. I'm sure it's never happened. I'm sure you've never done that before.
So should
again, every year I'm wrong on this or that quarterback, but he just sees it on this. Oh yeah, you've always colored glasses.
So Archie, should the Titans go after Hendon Hooker now at this point?
Look, I would say no, because it didn't look good this preseason at all. And as some people pointed out, how much of this is like the knee and not, I mean, it could be. I don't know. I mean, based on how he looked, I wouldn't do it. But laughing at the idea. I mean, I read Andrew's tweet earlier about, anybody who thinks there's better than what they have is crazy. Dude, it's Brandon Allen and Trevor Siemian. I definitely would like to see the Titans look at QB3 and find a developmental prospect for that. So Kyle McCord's out there. Okay, maybe that's a better option than Hendon Hooker. I'm just saying, like, again, I wouldn't go with Hendon because it just right now it just doesn't look good. Okay. But I think to laugh it off, look at their QB2 and QB3. I mean, come on. What good does it do for you? I guess PK thinks Simeon's going to be QB2. Either one of them. Whoever loses at QB3, what good does that do you? It does you no good. Get a young guy who might develop. Hendon Hooker is one of those guys. Someone will make him their QB3 as a developmental prospect. Maybe Kyle McCord is a better option. There undoubtedly will be others.
Get Tommy DeVito's out there.
There we go.
Get DeVito.
Yeah, Cutlets got cut.
Yeah, as the third guy. I mean, DeVito might be better than Brandon Allen. Who knows?
He might be.
I mean, look, I don't mind. I want Cam Ward's backup to be a veteran guy. Like, I don't mind Brandon Allen being the backup for Cam Ward. But I'm with you from the standpoint of, like, do you need Brandon Allen and Trevor Siemian? Like, do you need both those guys in your organization? Like,
no.
Why not have it as your third guy be one of those developmental players that maybe eventually can become a pretty good number two for you at that point. Whereas, with Siemian and Allen, like, what those guys are, which are not very good backup quarterbacks in the NFL. That's what they are. So I think it's worth a shot, worth keeping your eye on the next couple of days. Again, I probably would not do it with Hooker, but maybe it is McCord. Maybe it's somebody like that shakes loose here today.
Yeah, I think you really need to think about a young guy. We have another a point that some people are making that I think is a really good one I want to address.
Okay.
Also, I like this point. PK shouldn't take victory laps because he never gives projections or predictions. That's a good point.
Okay.
You were wrong. What did you say? I had no opinion. Congratulations, jackass.
It is time. We will continue this discussion coming up next. But right now, it is time to give away another spot in the Robby and Rexrode Fantasy League. We talked about it yesterday. We're going to give these away different ways this week. Yesterday was calling in. Today, we do have a trivia question for you on the text line. The 1994 Tennessee quarterback room featured two future Hall of Famers, Peyton Manning, Todd Helton, who is a baseball Hall of Famer, but neither one of those guys were actually the quarterback to start that season. Name me the quarterback who started that season for Tennessee. The first person to correctly guess on our text line will win a spot in the Robby and Rexrode Fantasy Football League. We'll have more coming up next. Robby and Rexrode 102.5 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. By the way, thank you all for the text. Good Lord, did we just get a lot of text trying to get in the Robby and Rexrode Fantasy League.
Good
I
job.
lost count.
People are going nuts over here.
Our winner, who was first in his response, Billy from Bellevue on the text line, correctly guessing that Jerry Colquitt, the quarterback for Tennessee that year, who, if memory serves me correctly, I believe played 7 plays and then blew out his knee. So, tough one there for Jerry Colquitt in 1994. But Billy from Bellevue, the newest member of the Robby and Rexrode Fantasy Football League. If you did not win, fret not. We have a spot to give away tomorrow. We have a spot to give away Thursday. We have 2 spots to give away on Friday. So 4 more opportunities this week for you to land a spot in the Robby and Rexrode Fantasy Football League. And like I said, we will give them away in different ways. Not always just trivia question, not always a call in. A combination of things we will do to give these spots away.
Keep you on your toes. Keep you on your toes.
So keep them coming. We appreciate the interest in our fantasy football league every year. And again, an opportunity to take on Rexrode, myself, Ian, and see if you can beat Paul Kuharski from paulkuharski.com in the fantasy football league as well, who is Rexrode's best friend at the moment.
Should I play? Kyle Tucker sent us every once in a while sent us a little audio clip of his own PK. Hold on. Let me see if I can find this. Oh, wait. Oh,
it disappeared?
It disappeared. How did it disappear?
Disappearing message.
Anyway, it was a
technology.
It was a very good impersonation. So again, we keep going around and around with this, like people missing the point. So Josh in Kentucky says, why would a college coach be worried about how his QBs are performing in the NFL? That doesn't make any logical sense to me whatsoever. And I said, because when you recruit quarterbacks, every one of them is going to say, can you get me to the NFL?
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, why is this hard to understand? He says, relax, Joe. One guy's failure in the NFL doesn't mean another guy will fail the same way just because of the offense he ran in college. Right. But again, we're not talking about one guy. We're talking about this goes back to the 2010s and Baylor. It is a system, and it is a narrative in recruiting. Another thing that Vols fans are throwing at me that I think is a totally flawed argument, and let's go to Abel on the YouTube chat. He says Hooker and Milton never see the NFL if they don't come to Tennessee, period. Now, that may be true.
I think it is true with Hooker.
I think that may be true about Hooker. I mean, look, I still saw him play football in 2022, and it's hard for me to believe that you put him in some different offense. He's just like, and throwing the ball into the ground and doing nothing. But, I mean, look, he obviously didn't work out at Virginia Tech. So the Tennessee transfer, by the way, to Jeremy Pruitt's program, it turned out to be fortuitous and an incredible match for him. No question. So I could buy that. Joe Milton, yeah, it didn't work out at Michigan in his first year of trying to play. And we understand Milton's limited. He's flawed. I don't think he's going to be an NFL star. Joe Milton was going to be 6'5", 260 with a cannon arm that could throw the ball 1,000,000 miles with good athleticism no matter where he was. He was going to be in the NFL. The Tennessee, he didn't have a good year at Tennessee. That year didn't help him.
Yeah.
If anything, it hurt him. So that's those two guys should not be viewed the same way in any way. That's why Joe Milton won the job over Hooker, because it was like, oh my God, Hooker no one could throw some of these passes. Yeah. So you're wrong. You're totally wrong about Milton. I think you may be right about Hooker. And again, that's a fair point to make about if an offense elevates what a player is and gives him a better shot at the NFL, is that not a good thing? Yes. But you still want people to work out in the NFL from an offense that has been hammered for years by coaches recruiting against it, saying it doesn't prepare you for the NFL.
Yeah, like it's
there are certain coaches that this Quincy Avery, quarterback coach guy, he says he can't imagine sending a kid with a shot at the NFL to UT.
Well, that's exactly what I was going to say. Like, whether you think it's a talent thing that's caused this to happen or not is not really the point. This is going to be used, and the more examples that pop up about it, the more that other programs and NFL evaluators are gonna question this thing, right? Like if you're, like I said earlier, if you're Florida and you're in a recruiting battle with Tennessee right now for a quarterback, you don't think you're going to be throwing this out there? Like, go look at that system and tell me the quarterback that's played well in the NFL. You don't want to go there. And look, it hasn't worked to this point. It has not affected Tennessee in their recruiting to this point at quarterback. Right. The question is, does it at some point? Does it affect them at some point? And more importantly, with the talent that Tennessee is bringing in at quarterback, knowing that, look, let's be honest here. Jake Berklinger just lost the job to Joey Aguilar. He ain't going to be there next year. Jake Berklinger will not be at Tennessee next year. It's probably going to be a competition next year between Faison Brandon and George McIntyre. And the winner of that will be the quarterback, and the loser may leave after that. I have no idea what it's going to look like. So you're probably, despite all these guys you're bringing in as recruits, you're going to have one guy where it needs to really hit with. I don't know if it's McIntyre. I don't know if it's Brandon. I don't know who it is, but it needs to hit at the NFL level with one of these guys.
Yeah. And again, Jackson Dart, the overall narrative needs a counterpoint, basically. Now, some people have brought up on the text line, Dennis included, Houston. And it's a good point that their run and shoot, the Jack Pardee run and shoot going back to the late 80s, two guys in particular who just lit it up, Andre Ware, Heisman, David Klinger, and both of them flamed out in the NFL. The interesting thing about that is, again, that's a different time. Now, the run and shoot actually that was starting to proliferate around the NFL. Andre went to Detroit, which ran a version of the run and shoot, the Miles Davis run and shoot. Different offense than Tennessee's offense. But, that was a big narrative back then. Eventually, again, a lot of guys in those, the air raid quarterbacks, when Mahomes came out, people were still saying, how many guys from the air raid have made it? Josh Heupel.
Well,
Josh Heupel was a Heisman. He finished second in the Heisman?
Yeah.
Now, he wasn't talented enough to be an NFL quarterback, but that was still a narrative thing that people use. And eventually that goes away because enough air raid guys work out. Tim Couch was an air raid guy who didn't work out. So there's an example of a narrative finally being busted. It's like, yeah, some of these guys can make it because it's all over the place. But this Art Briles offense just has not produced that at this point. I'm sorry, it just hasn't.
Well, and on that point too, going back to the quarterback part of this, like they've got Brandon coming in, who is, an Elite 11 guy. He's been to all these camps. He is the type of guy that from a talent perspective, we'll see how it plays out, but from a talent perspective, you think about being an NFL player, right? Like you think about he's going to be in the NFL. So if you're of the belief that either Hooker or Milton or whoever have not been talented enough to really hit as an NFL quarterback, well, hopefully with the level that they've been recruiting at, the talent part of it starts to change moving forward, and that's not the problem anymore. He's talented. Does he have all the other stuff? And does Heupel and that offense help him along in that process here? But to your point, like it is kind of amazing looking back at the entire history of the offense and looking around at the NFL, and you're talking about like RG3's rookie year is basically it when it comes to success in the NFL as quarterbacks who run that system. I mean, more or less, that's what it is.
Yeah, and I've always thought it's just coincidental. It's just how it's worked out. You're going to get someone who comes in, runs this offense, and they'll be good. They're going to end up being good. I thought Nico, if Hooker didn't work out, which again I thought he would, I was wrong. I thought Nico was a great candidate. And I still think he has the tools to be an NFL quarterback. But now, of course, if he does it, it won't be from this offense. And I promise you, this will end up being a knock against the Tennessee offense if he does really well at UCLA and gets drafted. It will come up, and I bet you he gives answers that fan the flames. I would be willing to bet on that. Texter says, just wait until Heupel gets Joey Aguilar drafted. Well, that if he does, that'd be pretty good because I don't think Joey Aguilar is an NFL prospect.
615-737-1025, our phone number. A lot more of your thoughts to get into. We will do that. We will look ahead to the final day of cuts for the Titans as well. Roster cut down day is today, and the NFL cuts are already starting to roll in throughout the league. So we will keep you updated on all that. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Tune in for the Bruschetta Bourbon Music City Grand Prix race on 102.5 The Game this Sunday. Coverage beginning at 1 o'clock, brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Speaking of the Bruschetta Bourbon Music City Grand Prix, I got some tickets to give away for the Grand Prix coming up at the Nashville Super Speedway August 30th, August 31st. To caller number 4, 615-737-1025. Caller 4 will win a pair of tickets to the Bruschetta Bourbon Music City Grand Prix this weekend at the Nashville Super Speedway, 615-737-1025. Joe, we did not plan to kind of devolve into this discussion for the last hour, but people are really fired up about this.
Yeah.
That's the way it goes.
Again, it's like this, the point is just that, this stuff matters in recruiting. You want to recruit the absolute best. Like, is Heupel's going to get good talent? Absolutely. And again, if he's winning, I'm keeping the system. If I'm winning and I'm in the playoff and I'm knocking on the door year after year, I'm not changing that. But the question is, at some point down the road, do you lose out on someone, again, especially at those two positions? I don't really buy it running back. I think if you're a running back, you look at Tennessee, you just got SEC play. The last two guys who go in the NFL, and running back, like the mechanics of the position in this offense are rough. It's no different, right? You're running the football. Yes, you run in some lighter boxes because of what the offense does to a defense, but I don't think that's a big deal. Offensive lineman, no big deal. Your pass sets, right? You run the ball. Right. It's quarterbacks and it's receivers. What they do on a regular basis in this offense is just different from other offenses, and it is not translatable to the NFL. And that's what people are just using that, and they keep seeing it over all this time. It's not just Tennessee. It is this offense. You go back to Missouri. Heupel's the OC there. Drew Lock, ridiculous numbers. Flames out in the NFL. Is it because of the system? I don't know. I'm not saying it is. It could be for any number of reasons for all these guys. But if they all don't work out, people are using that against you on the recruiting trail, like it or not.
It is roster cut down day in the NFL. The Titans have made some cuts to this point. Now, nobody of real note yet. Jaquan Jackson, probably the headliner yesterday, and I don't think there's a person around here that expected Jaquan Jackson to make the football team. So more roster cuts are coming today. Cuts around the league are happening right now. Tommy DeVito has been cut by the New York Giants. So we'll see what that could look like. Kyle McCord out there, as we talked about. So on the quarterback front, a couple of interesting guys that could be out there for the Titans or somebody else to take a look at. And I guess what I'm really looking for today, Joe, is who makes it at running back. And even beyond today, let's say Chestnut and Mullings are still there at the end of the day. Over the next few days here, are there running backs out there that the Titans bring in? Like, do they bring in some other guys? We know edge rusher is going to be a place on the waiver wire that you keep your eye on. Cornerback, probably going to be a place you keep your eye on in the waiver wire as well if you're the Titans. But other than that, like, I guess the real roster questions right now today are how many receivers are they're keeping? How many tight ends are they keeping? What's that going to look like in terms of the numbers game there? Who's your punt returner? And then that's probably where we're going to see like the bottom part of the roster shake out that way. Is James Prochet on the team? Is he not?
Yeah, I think that's probably the big question is Prochet, is he necessary? Do they find him necessary? I would say unless you're really questioning DK being able to just do the job at a decent level, if you feel like you might have another Kyle Phillips on your hands who you have 2 or 3 muff punts that change games, you're worried about that? Okay. Because I don't think Prochet is that much of a difference maker. I think he's good, but it's not like, I think you're going to have like one of the best punt returns in the league. He's good. He would be your best option there. Can you get by with DK and give yourself another player at one of those other spots?
Yeah. And is there somebody else at receiver that's out there that gets shaken free that you'd rather take a look at here? Like, to me, if you're keeping 7 and Prochet is your guy, well, that's obviously you're sacrificing a simple and as your 6. But like, if you're keeping Prochet, do you go 7 or do you look at Van Jefferson and you're like, we just got to move on. Like, we got to move on from Van Jefferson and hope that these 2 rookie 4th rounders turn into something at some point this year. I don't know. I mean, they were Titans fans 2 weeks ago ready to
I was going to say
escort Van Jefferson out of town.
Yeah.
And then he redeemed himself last week in the preseason game.
A week ago it was like, get him out of here. And now it's like, ooh, Van Jefferson. Okay. But yeah, remember, and of course, all due respect, Ravenwood product, Nashville kid, he had 250 yards receiving last year.
Yeah.
In the NFL.
He's like a fifth guy.
This is not some indispensable player. So yeah, look, if you feel good, I think especially Eli Manor, how good do you feel about him?
Yeah.
If you feel really good about him being ready to have a significant role, is that the surprise cut to keep Prochet? Van Jefferson is what I'm saying here.
And do I get to take a victory lap tomorrow about Josh Wiley being cut?
Oh, I think so.
I think so too.
Yes.
I think so too.
That take, whereas my Restrepo making the team take, you will look good and I will again.
But I will say Restrepo was not part of the first round of cuts yesterday. So
yay.
My guess is that their intention with him is to get him on the practice squad, would be my guess.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to have problems doing that. Like, I doubt very seriously Restrepo goes somewhere else and is going to be playing this year. So I think the NFL has kind of told you their thoughts on Restrepo. So for the Titans faction of fan base out there that for some reason continues to be obsessed with Xavier Restrepo, he's probably going to be on your practice squad. I'll put it that way.
There you go. And if you love Mason Kinsey, his 12th straight year on the practice squad, incoming. Is there like a limit? I thought there was a limit on that. PK, do something productive rather than
it's a good question.
take your stupid victory laps. And did that change? I think that might have changed during COVID, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Because like Mason Kinsey has a chance here to have a Hall of Fame 15-year practice squad career in the NFL.
Yeah, like he's putting together a resume, man.
That's great work if you can find it, man.
I agree. And he's breaking down the team huddle the other day.
Absolutely.
Brian Callahan loves that guy.
Absolutely. I mean, every coach here has loved that guy.
Yeah.
Fans love. I don't. And you know what? In all seriousness, with Mason Kinsey, when in the rare opportunities he's had to contribute on game days, he's been fine.
Okay, it looks like 16 players make up the practice squad and a maximum of 6 with any number of accrued seasons.
Okay.
I believe that there used to be like an actual limit on how many years you could be on a practice squad. So Mason Kinsey can just.
So you have 6.
He can be there forever.
He can be there until he's age 50.
The remaining 10 are by players with 2 or fewer accrued seasons.
Kind of a sweet gig.
Hell yes.
You don't have to worry about getting destroyed out there. It's good stuff.
I mean, I suppose like you're on the show team, as Vrabel puts it. I like to call it scout team. Yeah, stupid. Come on, Vrabel. Then you might be able to have to take a hit here and there, I guess, right?
Maybe do that. I mean, do they hit very much in NFL practice?
Not really. Yeah. Like in the old days, you'd actually get bludgeoned, by some safety, but now there's not a lot of contact going on. So it's pretty sweet.
It is.
Good for you, Mason Kinsey.
We will keep you updated throughout the day today on roster cut down day in the NFL. I mean, who knows? We may see some more stuff go on around the league. Yesterday, a pretty eventful day in the league. It's funny how these deadlines with the rosters encourage movement. Yesterday, we saw Trey Hendrickson get his deal worked out. We saw Kenny Pickett get traded. We saw Terry McLaurin get his deal worked out. A lot of stuff happening yesterday. So maybe some more action today on maybe Micah Parsons today. Who knows?
Yep, it's about time for Micah, and then I just very interested with the Titans on the waiver wire. I really believe that they're going to pick. I'll be shocked if there aren't at least a couple pickups off the waiver wire for the Titans with the first claim. I just can't believe that there aren't going to be some guys out there that will be instant, obvious upgrades for them at various positions. Maybe it could be 3 or 4 guys.
Tommy DeVito, QB2.
I don't hate Kyle McCord as QB3, as a young guy coming out. And get rid of one of these old dudes and get a young guy in here. Hendon Hooker is also out there, by the way.
Yes.
Just saying.
That does it for us today on the program. Next Man Up with Jake Lyman. Coming up next, you're listening to 102.5 The Game.